So, let me talk about questions for a second. As Brett kindly said, I was actually trained by Tony Robbins and I still work in the Tony Robbins environment. And Tony Robbins says that the quality of your life is the quality of questions you ask yourself. And you may want to catch yourself on some of the questions that you've been asking yourself to this point. Because if you're asking the wrong questions, you're going to get the wrong answers. And it doesn't matter what program you buy, what expertise you get, what strategies you take on board, if you're asking the wrong questions, it ain't going to happen. On the other hand, if you ask the right questions, then magic can really happen. Does that make sense? Say yes. Yes. So, Brett McFall is actually a mindset expert. He won't tell you that probably on stage, but Brett is actually a mindset expert. And Brett's come up with a series of questions, and I've nicked them basically. But credit where credit's due. Every time you see a question on there that's one of Brett's questions, I will call it one of Brett's quality questions. And the one that relates to the chicken is actually very, very simple. The chicken was focused on pain and problems, right? Yes? So, as Brett said earlier on today, the internet is just solving people's problems. So the question that relates to the chicken is, what problems are people experiencing in this niche? And then the next obvious question to ask is, how could that be solved? If you're in the business of problem solving all the time, you will make money from the internet. It has to happen. What most people mistake that most people make is they come up with the product first and then see if there's a problem attached to it. You need to be looking at problems first and then coming up with a solution. So the next one's the guarded goose. The goose, because it's a guarded goose, like to think everything through. Wanted to make sure that he climbed the right mountain, because there were several mountains. Wasn't sure which one to choose, because he didn't want to make mistakes. Just want to make sure that everything's perfect. But I haven't actually done anything yet, have I? If the goose is a familiar animal to you, give me a honk. So the man went back to Brett and Tom and said, about this goose, what can I learn from the goose? And Brett and Tom said, well, planning is good, but if you overthink, you're going to find negatives, aren't you? Anyone else find that? Say yes. Overthinking is not a good thing. High standards are good. I don't think you guys would be here today if you didn't have high standards, would you? Perfectionism is not good. Perfectionism is actually the lowest possible standard. Perfection is the lowest possible standard because perfectionism is unachievable. So all you're doing is giving yourself an excuse to fail. Perfectionism is not good. In my opinion, action is massively underrated. And the internet is, after all, a very, very cheap place to fail. So you have no excuse not to take action on the internet. You cannot win the game if you don't play it, can you? You can't get to where you want to get to if you don't play the game. Does that make sense? Say yes. But about climbing the right mountain. You see, you're going to have many, many opportunities over this weekend to climb different mountains. And they may have the same obvious outcome. But you need to make sure that you climb the right mountain for you. You need to make sure that you follow the right path for you. And I would urge you strongly, it's not necessarily the one that you think is going to make you the most money. I would urge you to think about the mountain that makes you the most excited. Because excitement is sustainable. Does that make sense? Say yes. So it's about values. And what do I mean by values? Values are emotional states that are important to you. That are important to you. So think about what emotional states are important to you, whether it be success, happiness, love, fulfillment, gratitude. whatever it means to you. Make a list tonight, say. Let's make a list tonight. I'm talking again on Saturday, and I'll check in with you guys on Saturday. Make a list of the emotional states that are important to you, and you will all be different. And make sure that whatever you're going to do on the internet, that you're going to be ticking those boxes. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?